And good evening on this Monday evening. Welcome to our UD football show here from Chalmers Field on the campus of the University of Dubuque. Head coach Ryan Myrie will join me here in just a moment to talk about the University of Dubuque's homecoming victory here at Chalmers Field this past Saturday, 21-10 victory over in Nebraska Wesleyan. And great day, Coach. It was nice weather all week for homecoming activities, and there were a bunch of them. And I saw the attendance sheet of nearly 3,000 fans, and most of those were on the UD sidelines. A lot of excitement. Helicopter flying the ball in for the new president, Mr. Frampton, and just a great day to be a Spartan.
Yeah, it was a great day. The crowd was outstanding. We had a lot of support there, and yeah, like you said, most of it was UD fans. Nebraska Wesleyan had to travel a little bit away, so their following might not have been as big, but we had a great turnout on our side of things, and it was especially special with having Blake there at the game too, and that meant a lot, for his family, but also for our program and for him.
Yeah, that was really an amazing scene. Wide receiver Blake Heffron, last week at this time, he was still hospitalized. That's why we didn't have our show last week. Coach and some of his staff down there being with Blake and his family. But to see that young man walk out for the coin toss, man, if I'm a teammate, I'm running through brick walls when I see that happen.
Yeah, it was nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah.
And, when we were at the hospital Saturday after the game with Central, it was just like trying to make it to the next day. And, then you get to Monday, all of a sudden it's like, he might be able to make it home by the weekend. It would be really cool to see him at the game. And then we get to Tuesday and they're like, yeah, we're actually going to get out of here tomorrow.
Yeah.
And, he was back. He made it for the end of practice on Wednesday. And we call him the Wolverine now, like he's got like superhuman recovery powers or something. So yeah, it's just a blessing to have him back and to be around the program. And now we're going to be on a nice journey with him to help him make a full recovery.
Well, I believe and know you believe in a God who does miracles. And that young man's a walking example right there. So
yeah,
couldn't be happier to see him on the sidelines, and know he'll be pulling for his team through the rest of the season. Let's go to the game now. The University of Dubuque gets that 21-10 victory. But to start the game, it was tough sledding there in the first quarter. I think he had 3 consecutive 3-and-outs. Just really seemed to be trying to find rhythm early on.
Yeah, we were just very disjointed on offense. And most of that comes back to me. Like our preparation through the week, obviously wasn't good enough, so guys were kind of disorganized, and we had guys going places they weren't supposed to, and maybe we're asking our guys to do a little bit too much. We got a younger group, so we got to consolidate a little bit to help them out so they can get off on the right foot. But then they also have to have accountability too. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we did rep quite a bit through the week, and we didn't execute those assignments, so we got to get those things figured out and cleaned up. And so it's going to be a very demanding week, to prepare for this upcoming game.
They scored first, as I mentioned, 7-0, and went that score to the second quarter. And then your offense showed some sparks of life there as you score a touchdown pass to tight end Matt Glennon, one of 2 Dubuque tight ends who's really starting to make their trademark a little bit on this team.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see. We got Matt and Tate Woodruff. They transferred in. So they're redshirt freshmen, basically. They both were at different schools out of high school from Hempstead. And it's really great for our program to get them in. And they got, obviously they got a lot of youth, so they're learning things, but to be able to get them both on the field and generate some run game with them, but also the pass game that they're able to do, they're going to be a tough tandem in the future.
Yeah, Coach Jim Kaloran, who joins me on the football broadcast on Saturday, his famous saying is, throw it to the tight end, nobody covers the tight end.
Yeah, I have a feeling, though, at some point they're going to start figuring out that those guys are pretty talented, and they're going to start covering those guys.
So that got you on the board, tied the game up at 7 apiece, and then a little bit of frustration set in. The wind was a big factor all day long in this contest, affected the punting game both ways. And your defense came up huge. We'll talk about the biggest play of the game a little bit later on. But, you were able to stop Nebraska Wesleyan inside the 5, drive it, a 17-play drive, I think. And unfortunately, didn't get points out of that. But, it was tough sledding for both teams with that win. But you took advantage of it several times.
Yeah, our special teams, we played for the most part, great football in with 2/3 of the team. You know, our special teams were outstanding for the most part. We had one blunder where we had a roughing the punter or running into the kicker, which gave them a 5-yard penalty, which gave them a first down. And you know, we have some young guys that are on our special teams that we're trying to build value with and get them opportunities. And unfortunately, in that situation, we didn't have great discipline and also not great technique. You know, and that led into a running into the kicker. So those are things that we got to clean up. And defensively, for the most part, we were lights out. We gave up a couple chunk plays in the run game and a couple completions, but overall, you know, we didn't break. And you know, we had some big red zone stops, and we had some big turnovers that you mentioned, and those were huge things for us. Offense, we didn't capitalize. We had a lot of short fields, especially with the wind. Like it affected their punt game. Our best player right now might be our punter. You know, Brady Bookman's like, even into the wind, he had some great punts, and he's definitely flipped the field for us a number of times throughout the season, and especially on Saturday.
Yeah, he had 3 punts that were plus 50. A couple, I think, went to the end zone, but brought the team out and, you know, flipped the field. And, you know, you were able to score your third touchdown of the ball game eventually because of the wind that caused problems with their punter, and you had a short field and were able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think we got the ball around the 30-yard line or so and had a really short field to work with. And there was a number of other times, too, we just didn't capitalize. You know, credit to them. They did a really good job. You know, they outcoached us, you know, their defense and versus our offense, and that's something that we got to get better at. We got to coach better, and we got to play better.
What was the message at halftime? You went in trailing 10-7. They put a field goal on the board just before halftime. So, you know, you knew you were going to get the ball to start the second half. And so what was the message in the locker room?
The biggest thing was just we need to relax. And I think our guys were, I don't know if they were over emotional or whatnot. It was a really long week, and it extended from the previous weekend. And, you know, I know there were a lot of emotions there, and then there was excitement because, you know, Blake was able to be back. And then I don't know if that just took away our focus in terms of like our preparation through the week, not on Saturday necessarily, but our preparation. And we didn't have great focus on Saturday. So it was about, hey, we need to calm down. We're still in this game. Defense is doing great. Special teams are playing really well. Like, we got to control the game now, as we come into the second half.
Biggest play of the game took place the 9:43 mark of the third quarter. You needed a big play from your defense, and Edward Williams steps in front of a pass. 43 yards later, he's in the end zone, and that puts you ahead eventually to stay.
Yeah, Edward is arguably our best defensive back, and week in and week out. He's had some, you know, things early on in the season with pass interferences, and we could argue and debate if they were or weren't, but he's done a good job of responding and coming back. And that play was it was probably the biggest play of the game for us and changed the tide of the game.
Yeah, that's one of the things you worry about, you know, with a player is, you know, mentally. I mean, am I going to get flagged again? How does that limit their aggressiveness, you know, that you want them to have?
Yeah, and the nice thing about that, like being in like more of a zone coverage and being able to read things and see things, you're not necessarily having your back to the quarterback. You can actually see where the ball's at. And what I love to see about it was there was confidence there and aggressiveness to attack the football. And that's a beautiful thing to me because he's really talented and he should be able to utilize that skill set that he has.
Yeah, just looking at the stats on the game, you know, you had just 236 yards of offense. Wesleyan did have 378, but, you know, your team, you know, played awesome when they had to on defense, as we've chronicled. And, you know, when an offense is struggling to find its rhythm, you count on your defense to pick you up, and you got that from them.
Yeah, and I think if you can play great in 2/3 of the game, they can kind of lift up a little bit the 1/3 that's not making things happen. And, you know, we were able to do that. Like I said, special teams did a really good job. We covered well on our punts and kickoffs, and we did a good job of getting the ball where we needed to in those situations. So we were able to flip field a lot of time. And then defense, you know, they were stingy. You know, they might have gave up some plays, but they didn't give up scores, and that's what matters most. They kept the points off the board.
You got the big touchdown that gave you a 2-score lead then there with just 5 seconds left to go in the third quarter. A touchdown catch by Khalif Freeman, 28 yards from Joey Romberg, and they were right in sync there.
Yeah, and, you know, the one drive that you talked about before the half, that one was a tough one, kind of going back to that.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been another one that would have changed the tide of the game too, I think, from a momentum standpoint. And, you know, we had the ball on like the 1 or the 2 yard line actually we had it on the 3. We had a rush, got us up to the 1. We called basically the same play. We had a little tinker with the RPO part, and that's kind of like the coaching and then the player side, like making the right decision as a player, but also as a coach, like maybe you don't give them the opportunity to have, the run pass option element to it, because the run was still there, and we tried to force something, and we compounded that mistake by trying to roll out, escape a pocket where you can't really do because it leads to holding calls. And so those are good coaching tips for us, like with our players, and making sure that they're making good, sound decisions when they're on the football field, when they have the ball in their hands. And that could have been a big game changer too. You go into halftime up 14-7. Potentially they have less time to go down and get that field goal that they did, and that changes the dynamics of the second half, especially when you're going to get the football.
We talked about 2 Dubuque natives a little bit earlier. Another Dubuque native that had a good game for you, running back Noah Rolling. He stepped up 72 yards on the ground and had some big runs.
Yeah, that was a pleasant surprise because we didn't really know if we were going to have him or not. He was kind of working back into practice this week. He's been out since the first game, and honestly, actually, when we got to the game, I was like, is he good to go? Are we allowed to play him or whatnot? And yeah, he was full tilt, and so we got him a couple snaps, and that was huge for us. Like, there's the difference when he touches the football, like the violence that comes with it, and he's got great intelligence, so he does a good job in the pass game and protection and running the football and taking care of the football.
So again, a 21-10 victory to give you your second victory of the season, and set at 2-1 in American Rivers Conference play as you get ready. Or I'm sorry, yeah, 2-1. No, 1-1.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. But now big game coming up with the Wartburg College Knights on the way. But before we leave this game, any other recollections of that contest?
No, I mean, the biggest thing is it was great to see our defense stand up and make big plays for us when we needed to most, and, special teams as well. There's things that we got to continue to work on and hold ourselves accountable to, from a coaching standpoint and then as a player standpoint in all 3 phases of the game, but most specifically on offense. That wasn't a great performance, and we have so much potential that's where it kind of is like disappointing. Like, we have so much potential and we're not displaying that. So that's what we need to focus on this week is doing the things that we can do, asking our guys to do what they're capable of doing, and then going to execute those things.
This is the UD Football Show here on this Monday evening. We're talking with head coach Ryan Myrie right now. A little bit later in the program, we're going to get a chance to meet graduate assistant Brady Ketchum, who works with the quarterbacks this year for the University of Dubuque. So we're going to have him stop in here toward the end of the program, but we've got more to cover. We're going to talk about the Spartans' next opponent, trip to Wartburg College to take on the Knights, and we'll come back with more of the UD Football Show with head coach Ryan Myrie in just a moment. Football Show here on this Monday evening. Tim Larry with Ryan Myrie, head football coach here at the University of Dubuque. The Spartans, as we chronicled, picking up their second win of the season, 2-1 in American Rivers Conference play, and getting ready to travel to Wartburg College this Saturday to take on the Knights. A 1:30 ball game there. It'll be homecoming for Wartburg. And Coach, the Knights, they're always up at the top of the league, and defense always seems to be what they hang their hat on, and it seems to be no different this season.
Yeah, their program is so strong at this point that it's every year it's just reloading. So like they have guys that graduate, but if you still look at their two deep, it's all juniors and seniors, and that's a sign of a really strong, healthy program. So they're not much different than they've been the last couple of years, and especially on defense, they're really stingy, and I would bet that maybe every statistical category they got to be in the top 5 in the country, not just in our conference. So they're the real deal. They hustle around to the football. They're physical, and then their biggest and most important thing is that they're very disciplined and really play with great technique. So you're not really going to catch them off guard. Like they don't ask their guys to do a whole lot, but they do those things like at the top or the highest level that you could possibly ask of them.
Yeah, some of those stats to back up what you just said, allowing 220 yards of offense and just 30 on the ground, and that allows them also to hog the ball on the offensive side of the ball. They lead the conference in minutes per game in possession. I think something like 35 minutes, something like that. It's a crazy amount. And, when you're getting teams to go off 3 and out, you can keep the ball, and they've got a running attack that allows them to do that.
Yeah, they do a good job of, their offense complements the defense in terms of defense gets themselves off the field, and then they can kind of ball control. They're built really well on the offensive and defensive lines and can control the line of scrimmage. Defensively, they're going to do their best to make you one-dimensional, and that's evident in the statistics. Like no teams really run the football against them, or even try to at this point. And then that kind of plays into their hand. Now they can just focus on the pass part of it, and they're very, again, like structured and detailed in what they do on the back end, so they don't ask their guys to do a whole lot, and they make you earn everything. So they minimize explosive plays, and you kind of got to inch your way and be perfect all the way down the field, and that's a very challenging thing to do at the college level.
Yeah, got to keep your hands on the football, and they haven't scored an impressive amount of points, and in fact they were only up 15-3 on Luther, who they beat pretty soundly then in the second half. But you can take some things from that for preparation for this, and are there some other things that you're going to focus on this week?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, playing a complete game in all 3 phases. It was great that we had 2/3 of the team that played really well. Now we need to get the other third to keep up and keep the game manageable. And if we do those things really well and control the football, take care of the football offensively, we're going to have a really good shot. And they've been playing a younger quarterback the last couple of weeks. I mean, they sent us to 2 deep, and they list their previous starter as a starter, but sometimes those aren't always accurate, and you don't know what happens throughout the week in practice or whatever. So we got to prepare for 2 different guys. They got a really strong running game with their running backs that they have, and so it's going to take a lot from our defense, to bottle all of that up, and then offensively, we got our work cut out for us to manage the game. And last year we did a really good job of that in terms of being able to move the football, and then we just couldn't find ways to score. And so now we got to find a way to get ourselves in the end zone and maybe have a different outcome this year.
One of the things you did well this past Saturday, we talked about it a little bit, not on air, but before we went on, was your red zone defense. Played extremely well again against Nebraska Wesleyan, and what's that do for you as a team when you can keep teams, from being able to score in the red zone or even just score 3 points?
Yeah, I mean, if you're giving up yardage and are able to get down there and then there's an opportunity to score a touchdown or a field goal, obviously you want to limit them to the field goal, the objective of the game, not to be obvious, but is to score points, and anytime you can minimize that stuff. And then this year we've done an exceptional job of holding them to 0 points, which is huge. And anytime that you can do that, it just creates a lot of momentum, gets the guys feeling like, yeah, we can stop them at any given time or any spot on the field. As an offense, it's incredibly challenging. The closer you get to the end zone, the harder it is to score because there's limited space. The width of the field doesn't change, but obviously the depth of the field changes a lot. So you got to be really creative sometimes in those areas, especially if you're not outmatching the opponent in a certain area, especially at the line of scrimmage.
Last win in this series for Dubuque came back in 2015. The Knights have won 8 in a row, and you're going on the road. It's going to be their homecoming game, but I mean, you have to look at this as what an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, it's just another outstanding opportunity. This is our 3rd homecoming game in a row. We went from Central's to ours and now going to Wartburg's, and again, it's just an awesome environment for our guys, like to be a part of that, to be able to play one of the top teams in the country, go to their place, and it's their homecoming, so the environment's going to be outstanding. Like, that's what you want to go to college to play football for, is to have these experiences, and I wouldn't have it any other way, and I know our guys don't want it any other way either.
So in summing up about your trip to Wartburg, just talk about the keys it's going to take if you're going to come home with a homecoming ruining victory.
I mean, offensively, we got to put on a better performance than we did last week. Like, we got to execute alignment, assignment, and use our techniques that we're taught, and then take care of the football. If we do those things really well, we're going to be in good shape. Defensively, we got to minimize the explosive play, and then when we get our opportunities, be opportunistic and get takeaways and give us some opportunities to get the ball back to the offense. You talk about ball control. You know, if you get yourself off the field, we talk about that as a defense a lot. Like, you can't control how you get on the field, but you can control how you get off the field. And so that's something that we got to do. And then special teams keep doing what we're doing. We've gotten better each week in our special teams. And we just need to stay on that, keep that incremental improvement in that phase of the game too, and we're going to be good.
Coach Myrie, good luck to you and the Spartans. That's a 1:30 kickoff for anybody that wants to travel over to Waverly. And if you can't make it, it will be on udspartans.com. It'll be the Wartburg College broadcast streamed at udspartans.com, so you can tune in to watch the ball game. But, Coach, before I let you go, in the third segment here, we're going to have another one of your assistants come over, Brady Ketchum, who's a graduate assistant on the staff and working with the quarterbacks. And just tell us a little bit about Brady before he comes over to talk about himself.
Yeah, so Brady is an easy one for me to talk about because we've known each other for quite a long time. I've built a really good relationship with him through recruiting. He played for me at Central. Built a really good relationship with his family. They're well connected to us, and they came to the Platteville game 25 deep, you know, with all their family members and stuff. So his family, his dad is from Platteville, and so he's got a lot of family members around here. So it was a great opportunity to get him in our program. He knows Joey really well. They went to the same high school. So it's great for Joey's development and our other quarterbacks. He's doing an outstanding job. He knows me. He knows what I coach and teach because he's played in it. So it's been an awesome opportunity for us to get him in the program. And he's got a great energy about him. He's kind of like, I'd call him a jokester a little bit too. Like, he keeps things light, and the guys love that. Like, everyone in the program loves him, even though that he was kind of an enemy just, 12 months ago.
Yeah. Those are the guys you got to watch out for on April Fool's Day. Right?
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to meeting Brady here in just a moment. But again, Coach, good luck to you and the Spartans as you travel over to Waverly to take on the Knights.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you, Tim.
All right. Ryan Myrie, head football coach of the University of Dubuque football team here on the UD Football Show. And we'll come back and we'll meet Brady Ketchum coming up in just a moment. And we're back on the University of Dubuque football show here on udspartans.com. And before we go, the third segment of the program, we'd like to feature spotlight coaches that Coach Myrie brings along. And this evening is Brady Ketchum, graduate assistant with the Spartans in his first season. And Brady, good to meet you. Thanks for coming up here to talk about yourself and Spartan football a little bit.
Yep, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, Coach, talk a little bit about your background, but why don't you fill us in on your resume, maybe your playing experience a little bit, and just talk about Brady Ketchum.
Yeah, so as Coach Myrie said, I grew up in Mount Vernon, same school as Joey. So we've known each other quite a long time. Played college ball for Coach Myeri over at Central. Played for him for my first 3 years, and then decided to come over here. When I saw he took the head job here, I was pretty excited after I got done playing to still be a part of a good program, and excited to be here.
What got you interested in, trying to become a coach? What drew you to coaching?
It was kind of a late decision. It was around March. I was talking to Coach Myeri. After the season, we stayed in contact. And I was just thinking of, what I wanted to do after college, and I missed the competition that sports brings. And obviously, I'm done playing, but still want to be around competition. I love football, love everything about it. I'm a very offensive-minded person. So when Coach Myeri and myself started talking about coming here and having an opportunity, I jumped at it. I get to coach for Coach Myeri. I know his system very well, and I also get to coach Joey Romberg, who's been one of my childhood friends, and it's kind of the best of both worlds there.
So you guys probably have some great childhood stories
Yep,
growing
absolutely.
up and playing in Mount Vernon and that kind of thing. So that's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit about the quarterbacks that you're working with. We mentioned Joey, the starting quarterback, but every quarterback's one play away from having a second man, or you got to have a few back there. So talk about the quarterback spot.
Absolutely. It's kind of unique. We have a very young quarterback room, so Joey, being a sophomore, is actually the old guy in the room. So he's had to grow up pretty fast in the college landscape. And then our 4 younger quarterbacks, we have Jack Gannan, Gaetano Carbonara, Josh Miller, and Armand Holmes. They kind of each bring something really special to the table. Some of them are a little bit more pocket passers. Some of them are a little bit better with their feet, but all of them can do both facets of the game. They're all quick learners, great program guys, and I've just been really excited to be able to get to know them, to coach them. They're great guys, great dudes. They're well-liked in the locker room, and I'm really excited for their future.
Mm-hmm. In your mind, what are the most important assets of a quarterback? What are you looking for? What are you trying to bring out in those guys?
Well, the first one is just being able to be coachable, and that's for every player, but our young guys and Joey too have just done a great job this year of getting to the college landscape. It's so much faster than high school, and all these guys in high school, they were the dude on their team to say. So coming here and the 4 young guys, they come in and they know they're not going to play unless Joey gets hurt. Joey's done a great job for us mentoring them. But yeah, just being coachable, being able to be quick learners, being able to be adaptable, and then just toughness and intelligence on the field.
Mentioned this is your first season with the University of Dubuque. I know you came here a couple of years as a player, but now you're on campus here, and your first thoughts of being here at UD.
I've loved my time here so far. Obviously, when I was at Central, we're like, the blue and white team, right? We don't want to play those guys. And when we were there, the defense at Dubuque was always the most athletic team we were going to play. And I thought that was really special. It was a very unique challenge. Now being here, I love it. I get to know a lot of the guys that I played against, which I'm sure a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do so. So there was a little bit of an adjustment period. I think guys were a little bit standoffish of me since they had to play me for a few years, but they've really taken me in. I've really appreciated that, and I think we got a great group of guys here.
Well, you look good in that UD sweatshirt. So
I appreciate it. This is an Amanda Romberg special. I had to get it from her. Custom logo here.
Awesome. Great. Well, Brady, anything else you want to add about the Spartan season so far from your viewpoint?
I think we've got a really special team. If you look at our game so far, we're really, really close to being a great team. A couple mistakes here and there, a couple things didn't go our way, and we're looking at being at the front of the conference right now. So I just think it's really important for our guys to know that, hey, we're a good team right now. If we clean a couple things up, we can be a great team, and we can accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish.
Well, hopefully that switch flips here coming up on Saturday against the Wartburg Knights. Pleasure meeting you, Brady. Thanks for coming up, and good luck to you the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, Brady Ketchum, graduate assistant, working with the quarterbacks this season at the University of Dubuque here on our UD football show. That's our show for this week, but again, don't forget to follow the Spartans. If you're not able to make it to Waverly for the football broadcast, you can view it at udspartans.com. And then, of course, we'll be back here next Monday evening to break that down and then talk about the next home game on the schedule against Buena Vista coming up next Monday evening at 5 o'clock here on udspartans.com. So have a great rest of your Monday evening. From Chalmers Field, I'm Tim Larry.